Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Neptune's Child Tarot. My name is Monique and this is my second tarot channel here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for your continued love and support here on the channel. For those of you that would like to book a private reading, you can find my email down below in the description box. Just send me an email and I will provide you with more information on booking readings as well as other services with me. So today's pick your card reading, we are doing messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. So we do have three crystals cards for you to choose from, and then we are going to be shuffling into some tarot and some oracle decks to see what messages Spirit has for you at this time to help you to progress on your spiritual path, depending on whatever it may be that you are currently going through. So for pile one, we have card number 4, Digitalis, and that is going to be with this Autumn Obsidian. For pile number 1, maybe that'll help you to see the color a little better. So Autumn Obsidian. Okay, pile number 2, we have number 12, the Fairy Ring, and that is with this yellow crystal. I am not sure what this is. It might be Jasper. I'm not sure. Okay, so we have this yellow crystal with the Fairy Ring for pile number 2. Pile number 3, we have card number 16, the Crow, and that is going to be with this little blue agate. And that is for pile number 3. So if you do feel drawn to more than one of the piles for today, that is perfectly okay for today's reading. Go with whatever your intuition is telling you. So pile number 1, Digitalis with the Autumn Obsidian. Pile number 2 with the Fairy Ring and the yellow crystal. And then pile number 3 with the Crow, the blue agate. Timestamps are down below, and I will see you guys at your reading. Hi, pile 1. So those of you that resonated with card number 4, Digitalis, and the Autumn Obsidian, this is going to be a reading today. So both of these, crystal and card, both of these are talking about balance and harmony. So we're looking at messages today to help you to progress on your spiritual path. This little obsidian crystal or Autumn Obsidian has the properties of obsidian, which helps you to really ground your energy. And then, of course, this beautiful little autumn color is something that helps to kind of feel balanced and harmonious. And so in this little Digitalis card, we see that there are these little scales that are here. Now, Digitalis can be something that is toxic, a toxic plant, but it can also be something where the message of this card, it can really go either way, whether it is something in regards to what you may have currently been dealing with. And it can also talk about bringing about more balance and more calming energy, into your life. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the message with the Justice card. And so we'll just kind of see what comes through for you. And see what, I'm going to put your card up here. We're going to pull some tarot first and then see kind of which direction we're we're going in, hopefully, is for the positive. But like I said, this Digitalis can talk about, bringing about, promoting more peace, more calm, more balance in your life. So let's just see. Messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. And it could be, that maybe if you're someone who's really super busy in terms of your schedule, work, other things that you may have kind of going on in your life, and it's kind of affecting you, I would say, in a negative way, as in needing more time for self-care, self-love. So we'll just see what's coming through. Pile number 1, messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. What are some messages for pile number 1 to help them progress on their spiritual path? Okay, so we do have the King of Pentacles. Messages to help pile 1 progress. We also have the 5 of Cups. We have the High Priestess. And let's see, and I'm going to take this in reverse. We do have the Ace of Wands coming in reverse here. I can see what it looks like upright. So I'm going to take that in reverse. I'll put that there. Okay. I am seeing the Hierophant at the bottom. Now, I feel like in this case, this could be talking about something that you are committed to. And this can either be a relationship, a job, or your career, your finances in some regard. And I'm seeing that you do have the 5 of Cups here. And the 5 of Cups can sometimes put us in a place emotionally where we feel discouraged, we feel disappointed, we're feeling a little bit hopeless about something. The 5 of Cups can also be a super heavy energy in terms of also guilt, regret, shame, loss, grief, depression even. And with the Hierophant energy, the Hierophant, and I'm seeing the stars right underneath that. The star is basically telling us that everything will be okay. It's about us not losing hope or faith. And so I feel like in this regard, with whatever this is that you might currently be dealing with or feeling discouraged about, disappointed in, I feel like this might go into a need for working on changing certain beliefs, or even your perspective in the way that you're looking at a situation. We do have the High Priestess energy here. So I feel like what Spirit's message here is that when you are feeling, any type of heavy feelings, emotions, as you're working on your spiritual path, like I said, this could be even a person who's around you, or it could be that you are working on something for yourself. Like I said, committing yourself to something, no matter what it may be. And when we're feeling, in that pretty heavy emotional type of energy, I feel like what Spirit is wanting you to do to help you while you are feeling these emotions is to really take some time to reflect inwards, because we do have the High Priestess here, and the High Priestess is about our intuition, our inner knowing. And the more that we help and build that connection with our higher self, our spirit guides, our ancestors, I feel like will help to restore faith within you to keep going, in a sense that knowing whatever this is that you might be dealing with. Like, let's just say it's your career and you're feeling you could be trying to, let's just say, get to this King of Pentacles energy, which is all about feeling financially secure, stable, being able to kind of reap all the rewards of all of the hard work and time and energy. I'm hearing blood, sweat, and tears that you've been putting into, achieving that level of security for yourself. And sometimes, we might be dealing with certain things within our personal life that could distract us or even, kind of throw us off a little bit. And that can lead us to feeling a little bit disappointed with maybe how something's worked out, or, something unforeseen that is happening in our life. So the High Priestess energy is really kind of bringing yourself back to center, bringing yourself back into a place of groundedness. And so going back into your little autumn obsidian here, it's feeling a sense of groundedness, of feeling a sense of calm and balance from within the self. And so the star here is a very restorative energy. It's about healing, renewal, rejuvenation. Looking here, she looks like she's kind of hugging the star and kind of closing her eyes here. And so, I'm kind of imagining her that, like, she's laying down and the star is her pillow. Like, she's dreaming here. But the star can be about keeping faith, having hope. And in the Five of Cups energy, we have more of that hopeless feeling. And so I feel like when you are feeling that way, whether you're dealing with it, here we're seeing emotionally, but if it's something that's bothering you, say mentally, and starting to affect you emotionally, or even vice versa, it's kind of bringing yourself back into grounded, centered. And that might even be, really working on breathing exercises, or spending more time in nature, meditating, taking a rest, taking a break. Because I feel like in that moment when you are feeling hopeless about a situation, that you have to trust that the wisdom and the knowledge that you need at that point with whatever it is that you might be going through, that your soul knows the answers, your soul knows what it's meant to do, where it's meant to go. And I'm seeing the Ace of Wands energy in reverse. And I do feel like, the universe has or is working with you to give you or provide answers, solutions. And sometimes when we are kind of in that, I would say, lower energies, we might not necessarily hear our inner voice. And so these downloads or, divine inspiration ideas might be something that Spirit does bring to you, but we could be overlooking them. And so that can leave us to feeling hopeless and saying, okay, how do I move through this situation? And, we kind of start to have doubts and all these rush of feelings and emotions that kind of come in here. And so that can put us in a pretty low space where we're starting to think that there's nothing that we can do to really help our situation or to be able to progress or move forward with something. And so being that the Ace of Wands is here, even though it's in reverse, this is the universe communicating with you, your higher self giving you the idea or the inspiration, a creative spark to help you to see beyond what you currently might be going through. Being that the Ace of Wands is in reverse, this can talk about blocked energy. It can talk about, like us having an idea or something that divinely inspires us in some regard. But it could be that we're not putting focused intention towards it. We're not really taking that idea and going with it. Okay. So I do feel like with the Hierophant energy here, there is so much knowledge. And we have both the High Priestess here and the Hierophant. Both are incredibly knowledgeable and have so much wisdom. And this is something that is accessible within you. And I feel like there's also a need for you to trust your intuition, a need for trusting your inner voice, and the communication that you do receive through dreams, through signs, through synchronicities, to be able to help you to move through whatever difficulties, challenges. We could have days where we feel super confused and just blocked, completely out of balance, out of alignment, and we have no clear direction. And so I feel like Spirit is kind of wanting you to take that time to really kind of go within the self. And this may include while you're kind of meditating or, taking time just quiet, where you take a look at maybe certain beliefs that you might be holding on to. And if those beliefs are ones that are still really serving your highest good, or is there a different way that we can look at our situation to be able to overcome it or move through it? And so I feel like ultimately Spirit is kind of wanting you to not lose hope, not lose faith. I'm also noticing that this scale here is in the ground. Okay, so that might really be something that's very helpful for you, is to really kind of work towards grounding your energy. Like I said, meditation is pretty powerful with helping us to do that. Breathing techniques, spending time in nature, going for a walk, sometimes exercising, dancing, moving the body around. Those of you that work with sound therapy, sound bowls, tuning forks, can be something pretty powerful to really help you feel more balanced. And so I'm feeling grounding is something that's particularly important for you. And if you have had, little ideas come in, and, the Ace of Wands is also telling us when it's in reverse that it is very possible for us to kind of reignite that fire, reignite that passion or that idea, that spark that we once had. And that may, like I said, include just looking at the way that in which we're looking at something. Okay. So yes, I'm feeling the star energy here is really Spirit wanting you to not lose hope, not lose faith. I'm not using a traditional tarot deck today, but normally on the 5 of Cups card, there is a person who is dressed all in black, and there are 5 cups around that person, and 3 of the cups are in front of the person and they are spilled over. And that person is staring down at the 5 of Cups that are spilled over. And so in that card, it is showing you that feeling of grief, of loss of some kind. But behind that person are 2 cups that are full. And so the message with this card is basically telling us that even though we might be going through this period of time where we are feeling the grief, the hopelessness, the discouragement, the disappointment, that there's still hope. There's still hope for us to be able to move beyond whatever this is. Now, some of you, in order for you to make progress on your spiritual path, this may also be healing in general, okay? Because this can also be literally holding on to some type of grief, some type of pain. And so it may be necessary for you to really spend some time in self-care and to listen to what it is that your soul is telling you it needs in that moment, right? Sometimes when we're feeling sad or depressed or discouraged, it's a need for us to kind of pay attention to the self. What do we need in that moment, right? How are we feeling? The way that you feel and the way that you're thinking is a really good indicator of your body telling you, I need help, or I needed some attention right now. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling disappointed. I'm feeling regret or shame or guilt about something. And that's kind of giving us a clue here that we need to kind of look deeper within the self to really connect with ourselves and say, okay, what do I need right now? Do I need rest? Do I need to focus on healing something? Do I need to, channel this energy here into something creative? And that might be the case for some of you. Okay. The King of Pentacles energy is also about committing ourselves to something, dedicating, being disciplined, right? So those of you that are, say, wanting to move through some heavy energy, especially on your spiritual path, it could be committing yourself to a goal of healing. Okay. And I feel like also, if you feel like, okay, I've been healing and healing and healing, and I still feel like crap, it's about not losing hope. You have to also keep in mind, if you've been going through something for, let's just say for some of you that have been carrying stuff for years, decades, holding on to all of that pain, all of that grief, or all of whatever those energies might be within you, give yourself permission to heal in whatever time is necessary. Sometimes we can get pretty discouraged with feeling, okay, why am I still feeling this way? Why am I still holding on to this? You have to give yourself enough time to process. But the important part is also dedicating and committing yourself to your healing. Okay? Or to grounding exercises, meditative practices. Those of you that might be really working on your spiritual gifts with the High Priestess energy here and wanting to be more in tune with your higher self, that requires patience. It requires balance. It requires grounding. It requires us to keep hope and faith and have trust and believing in ourselves. And maybe that also goes into certain beliefs that you have, right? Maybe if you feel you have a powerful psychic gift and you want to work on it a little bit more, and you say, okay, I wish I was better at this. I wish I could improve my claircognizance or my clairvoyance or clairaudience. It requires us to be patient. It requires us to commit ourselves to maybe, say, a daily practice, or putting time on our schedule for self-care, for self-love, for creative inspiration, for working and setting goals. Okay, so let's see what else is coming through for you. I'm going to pull another oracle card here. So what are some messages to help you progress on your spiritual path for pile number 1? Okay, so we have Sovereign here, and it says ascension, transformation, visualization, and sacred. Okay. So a lot of what this message of the card is, such a beautiful card. A lot of what this card is talking about is, ascension is really talking about growth, moving ahead, ascending on our spiritual path. This could be with transformation here, being that we do have the Hierophant. It could be, like I said, working on certain beliefs that you have. Are they ones that are hindering you, limiting you? Sometimes the Hierophant energy can be when we have a set kind of rigid way of thinking, and it might be a time for us to change that. So this is working on your transformation in that way. Like I said, for some of you, through healing, through channeling that energy, through creative passions. Okay, maybe starting a new project or something like that. That is something that kind of makes you feel more fulfilled. We also have visualization here, which is super important, I feel like. And I'm hearing visualize success. Okay, visualize success, visualize, and that goes into, meditation for you. It could even be, those of you that have a tendency to daydream, or this could be making time to daydream, right? Giving yourself just 5 to 10 minutes where you can just kind of unplug and visualize yourself getting past something or accomplishing something. Success in a situation, being able to resolve whatever it is that you might have on your plate right now. Okay. Sovereignty to me is also a sense of freedom, right? And that could be freeing yourself from, certain things that you're holding on to here. It could be freeing yourself from certain beliefs that you have. Okay. I'm also feeling this is knowing within the self. I'm feeling a lot of you remembering who you are. And I feel like with the High Priestess energy here, with you connecting back into your higher self, is you feel that sense of knowing that there is a force greater, right? There is a greater force. And you can look at that in any way, that you choose to. God, Spirit, Universe, Mother Earth, your higher self, past versions of yourself. And just kind of realizing in that moment your divinity, and sometimes we do have a lot of limitations and experiences within the 3D world that can sometimes make us forget that we are spiritual beings. Okay, so I feel like this is really kind of getting back to yourself, your true self, your authentic self. And it may help you to take the time that is needed. Okay, or even channeling, like I said, those emotions, those feelings into something creative. Okay, those of you that like to paint, that like to draw, that like to create in some way, whatever it is that kind of inspires you. So I'm going to move these down. Let's pull one of these here. So what are some messages to help you progress on your spiritual path? The King of Pentacles is also about taking risks. Okay, also about taking risks in order for us to, maybe get ahead in a certain way. We also have birch here. Okay, and this tree, it looks like it this whole deck that I'm using, there's little eyes that are everywhere. There's eyes here on the star, here in the Hierophant, the King of Pentacles. Yeah, there's some here everywhere. So we'll see a little bit about what the birch is about. I don't know if I remember. So we'll see. Birch. If I can find it. Let's see. Okay. I might have to, because I don't think these things are in alphabetical order, unfortunately. Okay, 63. 63. Okay. So it says the birch is associated with beginnings, flexibility, communication, and cleansing, finding its way into besoms and other tools used to purify and prepare the way as the seasons change. The birch tree is known to be a pioneer tree, as it is the first to take root after disaster strikes or the land changes dramatically. Emerging from landscapes battered by fire and mudslides, the unusual bark can look like eyes, making us feel that the birches are watching. So it says, now is the time to take advantage of the opportunity in front of you, manifest birches. It also says, eyes are upon you. Be mindful of what you do and say. because for better or for worse, you are being observed. And to me, that kind of goes into this, the Digitalis. Like I said, this is literally talking about good or bad, kind of like the scales of justice in some regard. Like I said, the Digitalis can also be a very toxic plant, right? So this is also a need for us to kind of be mindful of who we're connected with. And that could be your circle, right? Family members, friends, because also kind of the meaning with that, with the scale being there, you know, in its correlation to the Justice card in the tarot, is about right and wrong. It's also about being treated fairly and treating others fairly. Okay, so we need to kind of take a look at how we are communicating or interacting with others. You know, the universe is always watching. Okay, so we have to kind of be mindful of what kind of energy we're putting out, as this could be something that is affecting us, right? Especially for those of you with this Five of Cups energy here, where this has to do with another person, with the way another person has treated you, or, you know, maybe some type of conflict that you might have with another person, and then it ends up making you feel this way. Okay, so it's understanding, like, let's just say this. We'll say, you know, you get in an argument with somebody and you say a bunch of not so nice things to that person, and who knows, maybe you started it. Okay, maybe you started it, and you know, the person ended up saying something not so nice back to you, and you ended up feeling hurt, right? So it's understanding that kind of the law of balance here. Okay, so that would be for some of you. I don't think that that's for all of you in this pile. But we also have shed what is unnecessary so that you may begin again. You're treading on new and fresh ground. And we do have the Ace of Wands here. And the Ace of Wands is about new beginnings. It's about, you know, like I said, a spark of creativity, a new passion. But being that it is in reverse, it can be blocked creativity. You know, and if you are, let's just say, out of ideas or not feeling inspired right now, you're feeling a little bit in that Five of Cups energy, right? Maybe this is spending some time grounding, spending some time in nature, kind of getting, like I said earlier, back to center, back to balance. And nature is a very powerful healer. I feel like sometimes people kind of overlook that. You know, just going for a walk can help to clear your mind. You know, sitting outside and just kind of focus on being present, you know, watching squirrels, the birds, listening to the animals that are, you know, and hanging out around wherever it is that you live. And if you don't really live close to nature, you know, this can be creating a little, you know, a sanctuary, little space in your home where you have like a little area where you can just kind of go to that place to unwind. And maybe, you know, like I said, if you're not close to nature, naturey sounds and stuff like that naturally, maybe you throw on, you know, something from YouTube that has animal sounds or nature sounds, and you just kind of close your eyes and kind of focus on, you know, clearing the mind and just kind of listening to the animals, the birds chirp, the squirrel noises. I say squirrels because there's a bunch of squirrels around my house presently, and my husband and I watch them during the day when they're kind of messing around in the yard and playing and fighting with each other and stuff like that. So it's something that's really grounding, you know, especially if you're carrying a lot, you know, of stuff mentally, emotionally. It really kind of helps you to unwind. Okay, so let's get your last message for you. Pile number 1, messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. I'm also getting from this here too is like, know that you are not alone. Okay, know that you are being supported. And the message with the star being number 17, the tower is before the star, which is number 16. And like I said earlier, the star is something that comes in after the tower energy to let us know that everything is going to be okay. You know, despite what we might be feeling in that moment emotionally, mentally, it's kind of like saying you will survive this, right? You will survive this. You will move past this, even though it might not seem like it right now. You will move beyond this place of where whatever this is that is, you know, bothering you. Okay, even if it is the healing that might seem really daunting. Like, when is this going to go away? When am I going to feel better? Okay, and some of you, this can even be connecting with a mentor. Okay, a spiritual mentor might be something that's really helpful for you too. To also someone who carries a lot of knowledge and a lot of wisdom to be able to give you the tools that you need to be able to make further progress. So some of you might want to connect with a spiritual mentor, somebody that you look up to. It could be a friend, it could be a spiritual community, or, you know, maybe if you're into creative things, that it could be somebody like you joining like a class, a workshop or something like that, and meeting and connecting with other people in that way. Okay, so let's get your last message, pile 1. Messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. For pile 1, we have heal yourself to heal the world. Okay, heal yourself to heal the world. And really what this is saying is that as a collective, right, we're all going through things, we're all holding on to things. But I feel like the more or less that we kind of focus on healing and becoming better versions of ourselves, it's kind of like this domino effect, right? Because, you know, I am someone who truly believes that if you are someone who really kind of does a lot of self-care, a lot of, you know, focus on kind of raising your own vibration, that you are kind of bringing your light into spaces, into the shadows, into, you know, illuminating another's darkness. That can be something that serves as a catalyst for them to then begin reflecting within themselves, right? Heal yourself to heal the world. And we're seeing this beautiful glow of energy, right? And there's also a little person here too, right here in the middle of the world. We can look at that as divine source. Okay. All right, so that is all that I have for you, pile number 1. I do hope this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next reading. Hi, pile 2. So those of you that resonated with number 12, the fairy ring, and what I believe to be yellow jasper, okay? So the message with the fairy ring, as far as our pick a card today, we're doing messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. So the fairy ring is speaking about us having habits or decisions that we make that kind of lead us to repetitive behaviors where we end up repeating the same mistakes. And I feel like the big message for you here, especially with this, which, like I said, I believe it's yellow jasper, is about new perspective. So it could be a new way of looking at things. I feel like the big message for you here to help you to progress is being more self-aware of the choices that you make. And I will say this may especially, I mean, it really could be applied to any area of your life. Specifically, relationships come to mind. And I say that because I do, for those of you that are not familiar with my readings, I also have another tarot channel, Moon Moth Goddess. And I will say that the majority of the private readings that I do for people are love readings. And I notice that there is, you know, quite a bit of clients that I have that find themselves in the same situations with people, romantic partners, over and over and over again. And so with this fairy ring here, it is when we're listening to more of the impulsive part of ourselves that is trying to rush into something, not really looking at the choices that we keep repeating or habits that we might have. And so, of course, this can also be something that applies to your career or anything else for that matter. Okay, but it's basically about us kind of having this repetitive behavior, and with something that we keep doing over and over and over again. Maybe it's a self-limiting belief. Maybe it's self-sabotaging thoughts that we have, that we might not necessarily be aware of. Like, let's just say that you're someone who wants to progress within your career, and there's opportunities that are available to you, but then you keep with self-sabotaging, okay? And listening, say, to those negative thoughts over and over again. And so you don't really make progress. You don't really move ahead because you start to doubt yourself. You start to let fear or insecurity be something, and so that could be kind of like that cycle of just kind of repeating the same behavior, or the same habit over and over again. And I'm sure many of you have heard that phrase before, where we can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Okay, so I feel like this is more or less about you being more self-aware of choices that you make, ways of thinking that are not leading you to the outcome that you really want. So this is going to be taking on a different approach, a different way of thinking, a new perspective, being more self-aware of people, situations, or, that you might get yourself into. Okay. And of course, it could be something that you're dealing with externally. Like I said, I do a lot of love readings, and I see it happen a lot. It'll be a person who says, I'm looking for love, and they keep meeting the same kind of person over and over again, and so that could be learning to kind of identify, where is our own energy at? Are we coming from a place where we feel unworthy of love? We have insecurities. We have an anxious attachment style. Do we become obsessive, right? And it could be repeating that same cycle with a person, and then, it ends up, say, not working out, and then we're repeating that same behavior with the next person that we meet, right? So it's kind of like this repetition that's kind of leading us to that place where we're not receiving the results that we're really wanting. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting the message here of being more self-aware, at least to help you with on your spiritual path. And of course, you can apply that to, something that you're doing for yourself spiritually. Let's just say you're working, your goal is to work on your healing journey, and which is difficult. Okay, we'll say that the healing journey can be super challenging. Okay, because I feel like it can be very challenging, very difficult, very emotionally overwhelming and hard for us, in that moment that we're being hurt by another person, or, some situation that we're going through. Oftentimes we suppress those feelings and those emotions until they kind of come up to the surface for us to be able to deal with. So the hard part is dealing with our feelings, being able to process and acknowledge the feelings, the emotions, the thoughts that we have surrounding whatever that is. And so doing the inner child healing, doing the shadow work, processing those difficult feelings and emotions can sometimes prove to be a little daunting. And so we might get discouraged, because it's actually like we're really dealing with it. We're processing and working through it. And so sometimes we can get discouraged and kind of, forget about it. I'll just work on it another time. And we lose that consistency there. We lose that dedication or commitment to the healing. Okay. So, like I said, this could be you being a little bit more self-aware of certain thoughts, certain behaviors, certain habits, that you're repeating, like this is saying, repeating the same mistakes over and over again and not learning from them, right? So after we go through something, you know, this could be taking time to pause and reflect. Okay, what did we just go through? What have we experienced? What are we feeling? What are we thinking? What have I learned from this? What has it taught me about this person, this situation? What has it taught me about myself? Okay. All right. So let's see pile 2. Messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. And I feel like self-awareness is a really powerful thing for us as we're trying to move, you know, towards ascending on our spiritual path. So let's see. Pile number 2, messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. What are you needing to hear at this time? We have the 7 of Swords. Okay, 7 of Swords. We have the Queen of Swords. Okay. Messages to help you. We've got the 4 of Wands. We have the 6 of Cups. Messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. We also have the 3 of Swords. Yep, so this could definitely be about relationships. Bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Cups. Okay. So we've got, and I noted what I notice here right off the bat, this Queen of Swords, she is faced in the opposite direction of what she normally is within the traditional tarot deck. Normally, the Queen of Swords is facing that way. And in this card, she's facing that way. Which you do have the 6 of Cups energy here. The 6 of Cups is a card of nostalgia. It's a card of memories, the past. It could be childhood. It can be friendships. It can be soulmates. It can be kindred spirits, siblings. It could be anything that we are thinking about in terms of our past. And so the 3 of Swords is also here, which is a card of pain, suffering, heartache, emotional turmoil, disappointment. Okay, it can also be a card of, you know, for some of you being in a love triangle situation, or, you know, dealing with infidelity, cheating. Those of you that have been betrayed in the past, the 3 of Swords can also talk about betrayal. Okay. The 7 of Swords is here, which is about deception. It can be a person. It can also be ourself, okay? It could be our own thoughts that are deceiving us in some way. Maybe because of certain things that we may have gone through in the past where we feel like we cannot trust ourselves or trust others. The 7 of Swords is a card of illusions. And these illusions are ones that exist within the mind in this case, because it is the swords. So I'm noticing that she's looking at the 7 of Swords. The 7 of Swords can also talk about anxieties, fears, insecurities, trust issues, especially for those of you that have been lied to, cheated on, betrayed by friends, romantic partners, things of that nature. And so I feel like with our pick a card topic today, what do you need to hear to help you to progress on your spiritual path? The Queen of Swords is about being discerning. It's about really looking at things from a very clear headspace. And sometimes it can be hard to do that, especially if we're dealing with pain or heartache. And I wanted to pull the Queen of Swords. Like I said, she's facing that way. Okay. So what I'm kind of getting here is there is a need for healing here. I can say that, okay? And I feel like this might start with you working on healing your past, which I'm sure for some of you are going to say, I've already been doing that. I've already been trying to do that. But in this case here, I feel like this might be looking to your past to give you information. Okay, so we're kind of looking at it in a different way. Just as in the same way, we have the Queen of Swords here facing a different way, right? This is talking about a fresh perspective. So I'm kind of seeing the symbolism here where the Queen of Swords normally faces, you know, what I would say directional is the future. This Queen of Swords, she's facing the past. So helping you to progress on your spiritual path, we have to look at our past in order to help us to progress and move forward. We have to look at things, people, situation, in order for us to gain clarity, in order for us to see truth about a person, about a situation. You know, for some of you, this could be your own insecurities here, right? So this Queen of Swords is looking at that insecurity, right? And is it possible for us to see things in a different way? The Ace of Cups here is about healing. It's about emotional release. Okay? For some of you, there's a lot of pain here tied into the past situations. And sometimes we can get stuck in the past. We can get stuck thinking about someone from the past. Holding on to memories, holding on to nostalgia. Also because this Queen of Swords is in the, you know, facing the direction of past as it relates to, you know, tarot and stuff like that. You know, some of you could have a tendency to linger with certain situations, holding on to certain things. And it could be from childhood. It could be from past situations, past relationships. I'm also getting here too. The Four of Wands could be, it may even be your home life, your current home life. The Four of Wands can talk about family, commitments, your living situation, relationships that you might have with others. And so this, as we're seeing the Queen of Swords in a different perspective, okay, we can be looking at what is it from our past that is creating this pain and suffering? What is it from our past that is creating these trust issues, this anxiety, this insecurity, these fears? And it's a need for us to really look at it, right? Really look at it. And that can be really challenging work, but it's not impossible for you to be able to heal and let go and move on from things from the past. Okay? The Six of Cups can also be when we're thinking about a lot of fond memories as well. And so sometimes let's just say this, if there's been a person who has deceived you, who has lied to you, has cheated, who's betrayed, who's avoidant, who's, you know, broken up with you, you suffered from a bad breakup here, and, you know, things ended in a not so great way. Sometimes we can have, issues with detaching from that person, or detaching from certain memories and stuff like that from our past. And sometimes, especially for those of us that have been hurt, betrayed, by people, sometimes we can remember all the positive things instead of really focusing on what the truth of the situation is. Okay? Like, let's just say those of you that have gone through some romantic situations where a person has lied to you, where they've run away from you, they've avoided you, they ghosted you, they cut you off, and then you think back to, oh, but in the beginning of this connection, it was so amazing, and I just want to get that back, right? And we kind of hold on to that aspect of it. And the Queen of Swords is all about facing truth. It's about being discerning, looking at where the illusion lies, right? Especially if you're dealing with people, romantic partners, even friendships, co-workers, family members. You know, am I deceiving myself? Are my thoughts deceiving me, or my feelings deceiving me in this situation? Am I really thinking clearly at this time? Okay? It's a need for us to really kind of use logic here, where sometimes because of this pain or this heartache or something that we could be experiencing here, it could be something that kind of throws us out of alignment, where we do keep on making the same mistakes over and over and over again, not learning from them, not seeing, how we need to change. Okay? So yes, I definitely feel like I said, self-awareness, right? About your decisions, about your thoughts, about your insecurities. Now, the Seven of Swords energy can also be when we are ungrounded, because this can be when we have a lot of thoughts that are very scattered. And this Queen of Swords energy is a need for focus, to have a plan, to not rush things, to be able to look at things very carefully, right? To kind of assess what is going on, where are our thoughts at. This is a need for organizing the thoughts, okay? So if we're feeling especially discouraged, right, and this may have, for some of you, nothing to do with love, it can just be your own insecurities that are, where you keep hurting yourself, and that could be because of past traumas that you might have gone through as a child, okay? Having a parent or somebody that made some type of an impact on you mentally, where it took your self-esteem away and it created insecurities within you, okay? So it's really a need for kind of looking deeper within the self and being more aware of where your own thoughts are at, okay? So yes, I'm definitely feeling more self-awareness, using more discernment, okay, when making decisions, understanding that if you are making decisions rushed, which would be that Seven of Swords energy, you're feeling ungrounded when you're making decisions, just kind of hurrying up and rushing into something. And that could include, for some of you that are involved with romantic situations where a person has hurt you and you allow them to return back into your life to then hurt you over and over and over and disappoint you because you're really wanting that Six of Cups energy, right? The Six of Cups is about innocence. It's about sweetness, kindness, sharing in a heart space, from our heart space. And so maybe for some of you that have been dealing with a specific, say, romantic partner, and you keep letting that person come in over and over and over again, and that gives them opportunity to continue to hurt you, right? So the Queen of Swords, I kind of look at her, and of course tarot doesn't really have a gender, but this is feminine energy. The Queen of Swords is kind of like the woman scorned by love, by somebody that may have betrayed her in some way. So the Queen of Swords is very guarded and she's very protective. She's learned to really use logical thinking, clear thinking, so that she is able to make the best possible decision moving forward. Okay? So like I said, we cannot make, or we do, sometimes we do, unfortunately, end up making decisions sometimes when our mind is not clear, when we're feeling hurt. And that can lead us into situations that are not the greatest, okay? Whether it's your own insecurities that are holding you back, or your own fears, your own anxiety. The Seven of Swords can also be about escapism, okay? So those of you that are kind of find yourself moving back into certain habits, it's really kind of taking a look at where your thoughts are at, where your mind is at before you make decisions. using logic. Sometimes it can be difficult for us to separate our heart, our feelings, because they can definitely cloud our judgment. Okay. So yeah, I'm definitely getting, using discernment when looking to the past or dwelling in the past. The Three of Swords, like I said, it can talk about a lot of pain and suffering. And pain and suffering, or I will say suffering, okay, is a choice. It is a choice. Okay. If we're continuing to keep ourselves in that place versus I'm giving myself now permission to heal. I'm giving myself now permission to let go. I'm giving myself permission to forgive so that I can let go of the past and start focusing on the present moment and moving forward so that you can make progress. I feel for some of you, you could be holding on to the past, whether that be romantic situations, trauma, child stuff that happened during childhood. And in order for us to make progress, we have to be able to let go. We have to bring ourselves to a place of forgiveness. And forgiveness, of course, is not something that happens right away. It does take us really kind of working through our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions surrounding whatever that situation is. But it's also our willingness to let go, to forgive, whether it be from pain, the heartache, betrayal, resentment, anger. Okay, so that we can bring ourselves back into that Four of Wands energy, which is about stability, about harmony, and feeling that sense of balance from within the self. Okay, so after looking at, right, the thoughts, fears, insecurities, or those of you that have gone through certain painful situations, like I said, it reminds me a lot of the judgment energy, in which we are looking to our past for what the lesson is. What did we learn from our own decisions, from our own choices? Where have they led us? Have they led us to a place of pain and heartache and suffering? Have they led us to missed opportunities? Has it led us to not feeling confident enough in ourselves? The Queen of Swords is also a need for using your voice, finding your voice, learning how to be assertive, learning how to protect your energy, learning how to say no. Okay, so that may be something that helps you as well there. And, being that the Ace of Cups is here, this is all about healing. It's all about renewal. Some of you, it could be some heart chakra clearing that you're doing here. I'm seeing a lot of heavy energy surrounding the heart chakra, but also things that are kind of invading the mental space. Okay, so let's see what else. Pile number 2, messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. Okay, so we've got 2 here. We have Ascension, and it says Ascended Master, Oneness, Guides, and Spiritual Support. Okay, so if we're needing help, we're feeling stuck, I feel like your spirit guides are wanting you to know that they are always there to help you. That could be calling on certain ascended masters. Okay, whichever one you feel intuitively drawn to. It is feeling a sense of oneness with Source and not feeling that Source and Spirit is something outside of you. Source is within. Okay, know that you are being supported. Do not be afraid of asking your spirit team for help, but also be open to receiving the messages, right? Spirit is always communicating with us through dreams, through signs, through synchronicities to help to lead us and guide us. And when we're really asking Spirit to step in to help us through a situation, sometimes it can create changes in our life, and we might not necessarily be prepared for those changes or in agreement with those changes, but ultimately it's Spirit guiding you towards what is best to serve your highest good, right? That might be, helping you to move away from someone, like if you're asking Spirit, like, I really want love, you know, and the person that you're currently dealing with is not the right person for you, and you're asking Spirit for help, they are going to do everything to show you this person is not for you, right? They may show you time and time again, remove yourself away from this person, away from this situation, right? How long are you going to allow this situation to cause pain, to cause suffering, right? Like I said, for some of you, it's keeping yourself in certain situations and not learning from it. Okay, repeating that same mistake over and over again. For those of you, this does apply to romantic partners. And for those of you where this, you know, of course, does not have to do anything to do with anyone else, it could be our own, you know, kind of going back into old patterns of behavior, old ways of thinking. And we're not perfect. We are going to have those days where we feel super amazing, so spiritual, and so in alignment and so balanced. And then the next day we might feel completely different. And that's okay. The important part is you being self-aware of what brought you to that place again, and then bringing yourself back to grounded, back to centered, so that you can feel balanced again. Okay? The Six of Cups can also talk about healing too. So healing is, I feel like, something that's very powerful you hear. Maybe it's healing the mind, healing the thoughts, healing, you know, certain ways that you're looking at things, choosing to end your pain, end your suffering, in that your focus is visualizing healing. The decisions that you make in your life are choosing you. You're choosing to heal. You're choosing to move forward, right? Okay. So the next one says mystery, and it says revelations, discovery, secrets, and unveil. Okay, so that is that one there. And I feel like as you connect with your spirit guides, your higher self, this is where you have that revelation. That is where you have that moment of clarity to be able to see the truth of a situation, right? You can identify, oh, why? Why do I keep doing this to myself? Or why do I keep getting myself into the situation? Where was my head at when I made this choice? Okay? Or when I allowed this person to hurt me, or, you know, spent all this time, you know, dwelling on something from the past. Okay? I feel like through this, it's really working on discovering the self through this process of you looking and turning your gaze within. Okay? Let's see what else. Messages to help you progress on your spiritual path, pile number 2. Look at that. We've got the star. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to see what this card is about. It is from the Liminal Spirits Oracle. Let's see if I can find it. The star. 39. All right, so it says our ancestors have long oriented themselves by stars, using them as guides to travel long distances over land and sea. In rites, star is the term that describes what guides our path, the morals and ethics we use to navigate the world around us. Stars illuminate our journey, even in the darkest of times. If you're unsure where to go, simply pick one reference point that appeals to you and start heading in that direction. You can always change the path you're on. Letting indecision ground you means missing opportunities. The stars do not reside only in the sky above, they are all around us. When you feel alone or in the dark, look to find the light of the stars reflected in the people around you. Be mindful of false stars. Fear, hatred, insecurity, jealousy, and greed are trials we face on our human journey, but they should not be our guiding factors. Okay, so again, you're coming in with that Queen of Swords energy to reveal truth. Okay, separating truth from illusion, which, you know, the Seven of Swords can definitely create. Okay, so let's get one last message for you, pile number 2, to close out your reading here. Messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. We have, to overcome, you first have to climb. Okay, to overcome, you first have to climb. And I feel like this is your willingness to keep moving forward. Okay, healing can be something that is very, like I said, very challenging. But we have to persevere. It kind of reminds me a lot of like Seven of Wands energy. We have to persevere. Even though there could be challenges, obstacles that we might have on our path. Okay, we have to be willing to say, okay, I am moving past this. I am going to let this go, whatever it might be. Ways of thinking, even your past version of self, you know, and really kind of focusing on who you visualize and want to be in the future and working towards that, right? That being your guiding light, that being your star, what your focus is, right? And then being willing to let go of anything on your path that is not in alignment with that does not match that vision. Okay? All right, so I'm going to leave this here for you, pile number 2. I do hope this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next reading. Hi, pile 3. So those of you that resonate with this crow card here and the blue agate, this is going to be a reading today. So we're finding out messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. Now, the little card that you chose here with the crow on it is really talking about decisions. And sometimes with us having to make a choice or a decision, we have to make sure that we are in a grounded space in order for us to do that. And sometimes it can be hard for us because we don't know that when we are faced with some type of choice that is important for us, we don't know what direction sometimes to choose. We can feel confused. And it's because we cannot know, or we don't know, rather, what the future holds. Something is unforeseeable here. And so the little crystal that you chose, the blue agate, this is really good for grounding, calming, and it's something that does help with encouraging reflection, which is about taking a pause, you know, to really kind of reflect inwards, to connect with Source, God, Spirit, Universe, your higher self. Okay, so I feel like this is a lot of learning to trust. And I'm noticing that this little crow here is also holding a little compass. And so to me, with the crow also being a symbol of intuition, this is about you trusting your own inner compass, about where you feel you're being guided. So we'll kind of see what comes through with your tarot today, but we'll see how that kind of corresponds to what message Spirit has for you. Okay, let's see. Pile 3. What messages do you need to hear right now to help you to progress on your spiritual path? And I feel like with this message here too, it kind of reminds me of like the Two of Swords, where we can feel confused, we can feel conflicted. There could be something that we are not seeing. And the Two of Swords card in the tarot is more or less about us needing to kind of quiet the noise of the outside world and reflect within the intuition when we are feeling stuck. Now, the Two of Swords card can lead to stagnancy, a stalemate type of energy within our life. So if we're trying to progress, you know, on our spiritual path, And let's just say that your choice here is, thinking to yourself, okay, what is my soul's purpose? Or which career path should I choose? Which one is going to feel more fulfilling? Depending on what it is that's important to you with that. And you could feel confused. You could feel like, okay, well, I have this idea here, that idea there. Which one do I choose? Which one is the better choice? And really, that could be with anything that you're dealing with in your life. And so I feel like the worst decision is not making one because that can lead to, like I said, stagnancy, getting stuck, instead of learning to trust ourselves in that our intuition is always guiding us in the right direction. Okay, so let's see pile 3. Messages to help you progress on your spiritual path for pile number 3, Spirit. Messages to help them. We have the 2 of Cups. Okay. Messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. We have the 8 of Wands. We have the Moon. Yeah, look at this. We have the Wheel of Fortune. I don't know if I showed you guys that one. The Wheel of Fortune. And let's pull one more. We have the Knight of Swords. And then bottom of the deck, we have the Ace of Swords. Okay, so the Moon energy is here. The Moon is about the intuition. However, the Moon can also be about doubt, fear, anxiety, uncertainty, something that is hidden or concealed, the unknown, something mysterious. And the Wheel of Fortune is about change. It's about being at a turning point in our life. Maybe for some of you where change is something that the universe is trying to guide you towards. The Wheel of Fortune can also talk about destiny, fate and destiny. And so with our question today, helping you to progress along your spiritual path, I'm noticing that in this 2 of Cups card, let me see. In this 2 of Cups card, we can look at this. I like to look at it, not only as a card of commitments and relationships, and that connection can be between 2 romantic partners. It can also be friendships, people that are close to us. But I also see this, especially for this being your spiritual path, as your connection with your higher self. Okay? If you look at this card here, we've got 2 ladies here, and there is an eye up here. And there's all of this light that's kind of coming down, all these rays. Okay? And so I'm seeing this kind of, I don't even know if these are snakes or not. But either way, they're kind of interconnected into each other. And this one here is kind of touching the other one. And so we can look at it, in a couple different ways. You could look at it as you accessing or connecting with your higher self, receiving, downloads, information that you're meant to receive. Also notice they've got these 2 little shells on top of their heads, which we can look as like little cups and receiving information that way, intuition. Or you can look at it in a way as this is you, and this is your higher self that is kind of connecting to you and giving you information. So either way, there is this reciprocating energy that's here. It's very balanced. It's very harmonious. And we have the Eight of Wands energy here, which is about messages. Okay. It's about messages, receiving good back and forth. And the Eight of Wands energy is not only talking about messages being back and forth, it's also about energy that's in motion, something that's happening quickly. And so in order to help you to progress on your spiritual path, I am feeling there is a need for connecting in with your intuition more, being that we also have the moon energy here. And the Ace of Swords is about truth. It's about clarity. And being that, like I said, this one here, she's kind of touching the other. So it kind of makes me feel like you're making contact. You're connecting with your higher self to feel or hear the messages that are coming in to your mind, into your intuition. And being that the moon can also talk about anxiety and fears and insecurities and doubting, stuff like that. The moon can also create illusions and confusion. And so being that the Ace of Swords is here, I feel like there's a lot of, needing to learn to trust yourself and the messages that you do receive, because some of you could be receiving messages from spirit through your dreams with the moon card here. So to me, this is kind of listening to what your soul's truth is to help you with making the decisions, with direction here, specifically direction. The Ace of Swords is us receiving ideas, information from source that is helping us to have some type of breakthrough through that sometimes cluttered or muddled type of energy that can happen, because the moon is the subconscious mind. And of course, in the subconscious, there could be lots of fears, lots of insecurities, lots of doubt that is there. We might receive a message from spirit in our dream, and then we wake up and we start to overthink. We start to overanalyze, and then we start to doubt ourselves. And then we're saying, okay, well, I guess I don't understand what spirit is trying to say to me, so I'm lost. I don't know what direction to go in. And we still feel that way because we're doubting ourselves. We're overthinking. And so I'm feeling a lot of this message for you today, with help to progress along your spiritual path, is learning not only to connect in more with your higher self, your intuition, but it's learning to trust the messages that you receive. You know, the Ace of Swords can come in kind of like this light bulb moment, this epiphany, this realization that we have with clarity, so that we know what direction to choose. The Wheel of Fortune being here is ultimately your inner compass leading you towards your destiny, where you're meant to go, who you're meant to connect with. Your soul knows the way. It's about you kind of setting aside those fears, those insecurities, and sometimes the very shadowy part of the mind that can throw us off course, where we get too afraid to make a choice because things are uncertain. The path is uncertain. But I'm feeling with the Knight of Swords energy also being here, the Knight of Swords is a very confident energy when it comes to decisions, actions, and it's moving forward very quickly. The Eight of Wands is very fast-moving energy. So is the Knight of Swords. Okay? The swords in general are very swift, very quick. So I feel like this is definitely learning to trust yourself more, trusting the direction of your soul's truth, And maybe that is just kind of taking a second to just kind of listen in. When I first pulled this card here, I was imagining for you that for those of you that are feeling stuck or feeling confused, try not to force yourself to make a decision in that moment. Take a break, right? Move away from having to make a decision when you're feeling that way. And because this is more or less about you feeling a sense of peace from within, knowing that you are making the right decision, you're making the right choice in how you choose to move forward. The Wheel of Fortune is also about going with the flow. And sometimes there could be certain paths that kind of open up for us, and we receive messages where Spirit is kind of like pointing the way, like this way, we're opening this door for you, this opportunity, this path. And there's a need for us to flow with that. There's a need for us to trust that. And I feel like being confident when you make decisions. And sometimes when we sit and kind of, think and think and think, and then it just kind of brings on more of this confusion for us. Practice. What I was kind of visualizing for you is kind of sit down, in a quiet space in your home or, out in nature, and just kind of hold your hand over your heart and close your eyes. And you can first start off with, paying attention to the sounds around you. Say it's, you're sitting out in nature and you're listening to the birds, you're listening to, whatever it is that you hear at that time. You can be feeling your heartbeat, underneath your hand, and just kind of bringing yourself into that present moment. And while you're closing your eyes, you can visualize your higher self standing in front of you. And you can ask your higher self or your spirit guides, your ancestors, your guardian angels, whatever you connect with, and ask them to assist you with seeing things clearly. Maybe it's some type of clarity here. For you with direction, path, that you're feeling confused by or stuck with. But also keep yourself in that moment open to receive the message. Some of you that have spiritual gifts, can literally hear Spirit communicating with you, or you might receive a picture, right? Pay attention and kind of observe in that moment what information you're receiving. It might be a word. It might be a color. It could be something that is significant or symbolic for you that is giving you the answer. Okay? You might, during that little meditation for yourself, you might hear kind of like an airplane flying overhead, or you could hear, a siren going by. It's just kind of you kind of sitting in that moment and listening, right? To what's within, the voice and the truth from within the self, to help you, to guide you during this process so that you are able to make decisions from a place of confidence. Okay? It's really what I'm seeing here for you. What else do I want to say with this? I feel like sometimes, change is scary, especially with the Wheel of Fortune, which is about change. It's also about being at a turning point in our life. And sometimes there are changes that we must go through. And that might include leaving jobs, leaving certain people behind, and continuing to go along our path. And change can be very uncomfortable. It can be scary. But it is a need for us to really kind of trust that we are being guided by forces that are greater than us to ultimately lead us towards where we're meant to be. And even though we don't know exactly how something is going to turn out, we need to get more comfortable with trusting the process of tuning back into the intuition. And I feel like as a collective, the more and more that we have so much I would say, technology, that we spend a lot of time on our phones. We spend a lot of time, with TV and electronics and things like that, that we become very disconnected from the self. And so there we have a lot of people, in the world that feel lost, that don't know what their path is, that don't know what their purpose is, that feel, like they're kind of going through life on autopilot, feeling discontent with life, and constantly searching and seeking for something more. And really what that is that you're seeking the self, right? You're seeking the self. And sometimes we look for love outside of ourselves, but really what it is us wanting to feel love from within. Okay, really learning to connect in with that part of ourself, getting back to ourself. We feel like we're missing something, we're lacking something, and really it's us. It's a need. It's your body's way of telling you, or your spirit's way of, your soul's way of telling you to get back connected in with that spiritual part of yourself. Okay? So that's kind of what I'm seeing here so far. We're going to pull some more oracle cards here and see. Pile number 3, messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. We have kinship here. And it says teamwork, connection, sharing, and supporting. So some of you on your spiritual path, it might be worthwhile to connect with other people who are like-minded, who are also on a spiritual path. And, I feel like sometimes it's hard for us to make friends. Especially if you're an adult, it's a lot different trying to make friends than when you're younger, and it's kind of a lot easier, I would say, to just kind of find a group or something like that. But I feel like it's important for you to have people that are supportive, people that are like-minded, people that are empowering you, surrounding you, people that are mentors, people that are maybe even a little bit further along their path, along their journey, that might be able to answer questions for you, that may be seeking out spiritual mentorship, that may be joining some type of online community, spiritual community. I would be a little bit discerning with that, okay? And just kind of making sure that if you decide to join some type of group or spiritual community, to really be discerning, okay? And to really kind of make sure that whatever is said within those groups, whatever is being taught, is something that resonates with you. And if something doesn't feel right, move away from it, okay? Especially with all of the crazy stuff that is out there, and people who are kind of, I don't know. I'm just, it's making me think of that documentary, that twin flame documentary that they had on Netflix. For those of you that have not seen it and you do have Netflix, I can't even remember what is it called? Twin flame obsession or something like that. I don't remember. But those of you that have not seen it, I would encourage you to watch it. Even if you don't know what the twin flame journey is about, or you've never heard about that story, because it's a real eye-opener about the types of toxic spiritual groups that are out there. And that is where you're needing to kind of be a little bit more mindful about the information that you receive. Like I said, if it doesn't resonate and you feel that something's not right, again, trust your intuition. Now, some of you, it also, especially if you're, you like spiritual stuff, you might even try to look in your area locally to see what communities are there. My husband and I, we've just recently moved to Texas not too long ago. And, we've been kind of exploring, the greater Houston area to kind of see you know, what types of metaphysical shops they have, which is something that you could do in your area, crystal shops, or, you know, some shops that sell spiritual items and stuff like that. Sometimes there are some shops that hold workshops, sound healings, aromatherapy classes, Reiki classes, working with crystals, types of classes. And so signing up for one of those classes can, or even, you know, yoga is also coming to mind. Yoga, meditation classes. Signing up for those classes might be something that really helps to bring you closer to people who are on the same path. And it's also a smaller group of people. It can feel a lot less, I feel difficult, you know, than just kind of trying to find somebody out, you know, in public somewhere and being like, okay, are you spiritual too? You know, it's just kind of like going to those areas where it's easier for you. I've already met someone recently. I went to a spiritual shop and they have like all these classes and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so exciting. I can't wait to do all this stuff, to learn more. So meeting new friends, you know, it is something that is very supportive, because sometimes when you're on your spiritual journey, you feel like no one understands me, no one gets it, there's nobody around me that is into this kind of stuff. And so we can feel very alone. We can feel lonely, right? And you can always have, because the Two of Cups can also be about partnerships. So some of you, this can be connecting with another person who is supportive, that you connect with on an emotional level. Okay? So teamwork, connection, sharing, and supporting. So I feel like Spirit's encouraging you to, you know, connect with others, build connections with others. What else do I want to put here? Let's pull one of these messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. We have two. We have clay. That's interesting card. Clay. And we have the owl. Beautiful. Okay, so let's see what these cards are about. And this is from the Liminal Spirits Oracle. We'll look at, let's see, which one do I see first? Clay and owl. Clay and owl. Okay, so we're going to look at the owl first. That's the first one I see. So 95. Okay. So the wise owl brings with it an appreciation of silence and knowledge of the realms of magic and mystery. While owls are known for their distinctive and haunting calls, they also embody quietude in their power of silent flight and watchful guardian-like presence. As evidenced by their large, expressive eyes, they have exceptional vision, even in the darkest of nights. With their loud calls, secretive nature, and nocturnal doings, owls have long been associated with witches and a multitude of goddesses, including Athena and Hecate, and seen as harbingers of death. But death is just another doorway, and the owl does make wise choices about these kinds of things. It says the power of silence is underrated in our loud, busy world. The owl reminds you to be still and take in the world around you without adding to, what is that? What is that word? The cacophony? Cacophony. I don't even know how to look at that word. I don't think I've ever seen that word before in my whole life. The quiet ones are indeed powerful. It says what we consume becomes a part of us, whether it takes the form of food, art, or information. For a healthy spirit, be mindful of these things and cleanse yourself as needed to remove what you don't need. Death may come for you on soft white wings, but this is only natural and necessary for change. Like Bloodwed, we may be beings of flowers woven together with intention, but then we go to seed and bring forth new magic. Okay. Appreciation of silence, right? That is where we receive the wisdom, the clarity, the insight. So now let's look at clay. And I think that was 113 maybe. Was it? No. Let's go back and see. I think it was 135. Okay. Okay, clay has long played an important part in creation myths, especially those that say the gods fashioned humankind from clay and breathed life into it. This connection is still present within the Jewish myth of the golem, a creature made of clay that is brought to life with breath and sacred words. Clay is the result of fine particles being deposited over time by bodies of water. Since early humans congregated near life-giving water sources, our discovery of clay was inevitable. Across the world, every culture has developed its own system of ceramics, using it for utilitarian containers, home construction, and spiritual and decorative objects. Our hands give clay shape, then fire transforms its molecules into something that stands the test of time. All it takes is a touch to make an impression upon clay, and something begins to take shape. Realize that even small gestures can impact others greatly, for better or for worse. The situation is workable, meaning you can make changes, reshape it, add more to it, and take away from it, as long as you're willing to invest in it. While clay is strong and resilient, once fired, it can be broken, and it can be very hard to put the pieces back together again. Do not conflate the ability to withstand fire with being incapable of damage. Handle with care and be cautious. Don't assume that everyone else already knows the rules. So I'm also getting from this, especially with this talking about the message of the crow about, being discerning with kind of making certain choices and decisions. I feel like is more or less, since this is talking about change, choices, needing to trust and listen to the intuition here, I feel like this is more or less about you understanding that once you make a choice, being confident in that, the important part is you taking that first step in whatever direction you feel like you're being guided. We can always make changes along the way, right? Which also kind of reminds me of like the Three of Wands energy, where we've set something in motion, we've taken that first step, and now we're looking at what else we can do to add to shape it the way that we want to, okay? And really tuning in, I feel like, to intuition here. So let's get your last message for you here. Pile number 3, messages to help you progress on your spiritual path. What message are you meant to hear? Pile 3. We have your life plan is unfolding as it should. Okay. Your life plan is unfolding as it should. And really, like I said, this is really trusting the guidance that you receive, trusting that you are being guided towards your destiny. And sometimes, yes, it may require change. It may require us to choose a path, choose a direction. The important part is that you are remaining confident in that decision. Okay? Listening in, receiving the messages. Like I said, maybe for some of you, this is the need for paying attention to what you receive. Okay? Signs, synchronicities. Sometimes, Spirit will kind of give us messages over the course of a few days, and we don't really know, like, what is it that Spirit is trying to say to us? And in that moment, try not to overthink. Maybe just write it down. Write it down in a dream journal, or if you, have a little pen and paper, you can keep it by your bedside table if you have one, or somewhere close to you, so that it's kind of like that's the first thing that you do when you wake up in the morning, is write it down. write down what you saw, what you heard, what, was kind of playing out in your dreams, or even things that you might see during your waking hours, certain things that you notice. And sometimes it might take putting things together where all of a sudden you have the epiphany, you have the realization. Okay, it could be overhearing a conversation. It could be a license plate. It could be a billboard. It could be a song that you hear. Okay, receiving messages in any way. It could even be something, watching a random pick a card reading where you just feel drawn to it and you hear something about it and it kind of makes that light bulb go on, right? The messages are already within you. Your soul knows exactly where it's meant to go. But again, trusting the guidance, the messages that you receive from within. And if you're feeling confused, stuck, like I said, walk away, go for a walk, and then come back to it later, and really connecting in with the self, spending time in nature, meditating, so that you feel more calm, more peaceful when you're connecting in with your higher self, to be able to receive the messages that you need to help to guide you and further you along your spiritual path. Okay? All right, so I'm going to leave this here for you, pile 3. I do hope this was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next reading.